Again, this is San Diego. If you haven't been to the Midway Museum, you should put it on your bucket list because it is definitely worth the trip. Many hotels in the area, restaurants, boat trips and cruises out on the harbor. Over there we have North Island, and here we'll head back up to the flight deck. So on an actual aircraft carrier, this fence would not be here. So you literally can just walk off the side of the deck, and hopefully one of the nets down there will catch you in case you're in rough sea conditions at night. Jet blast. There's a few possibilities that could send you over the side. So now that we're up on the flight deck, the main thing you have to watch out for in actual conditions, again, this fence is not here. So if you walk a little bit too far, you end up down there, hopefully, or worse, you end up in the net system in the forward part of the ship. But on the flight deck, your main danger is from jet blast and tail rotors from the helicopters. So we will proceed to the H-60. I flew this during Vietnam, a version of it. And actually we landed in a rainy, high wind condition, and they didn't get the chocks and chains on me quick enough. And you can see all the wheels are chalked and chained down. Anyway, the aircraft started to slide off the side of the deck, and I had to pick it up and put it back down, waiting for the chain crew to get to their locations. Because as rough as this deck is, the ship rolls enough that it can actually take an aircraft and just let her slide over the side, especially if you have wind conditions. This is the helicopter that we are going to explain how to take off on a mission. It's an H-60. In this case, it's multi-purpose, but she's set up to look for submarines with a special operator in the back that runs a sonar system that can locate things under the water. So we will go to the trainer here that is used for procedure training, familiarization, and I will give a brief explanation of how to take off a carrier. So now that we're in, I am currently located in the co-pilot seat. The pilot on military aircraft, helicopters, that is, sit in the right seat, because as they approach the carrier, they will not be headed in the direction we're sitting in now, but they will be parallel to the flight deck. And as the helicopter approaches from the rear of the carrier, they will slide basically sideways over their landing spot and sit in a position similar to this one, but he actually would be in line with this white line. And there are spots, if you look closely up there, there is spot number 3 and so forth, but I can't see any other ones. Oh, out here we have, we have spot number 4 right here. So you would be pointed in the direction of this white line because the ship is going to be headed into the wind, most likely. So to take off, and like I said, I'm sitting in the co-pilot seat, which I preferred when I was in the Marine Corps, because when I come into the carrier, I would let the co-pilot sit in the right seat and practice. But as I'm coming into the carrier, she will be sitting outside this window door area here. And as I look at the landing spot, I can look at the gauges and the landing spot without moving my head too much, which can induce vertigo. Whereas if the pilot is sitting here, he's going to have to rotate his head from the position to watch the landing spot, the carrier, and the gauges. But generally, to be safe, the co-pilot not flying will watch the gauges and allow the pilot to remain concentrated on the landing spot. So I just felt a little more comfortable doing it from this seat. So in order to take the helicopter off, we, first of all, like I said, we'll be sitting facing the bow into the wind. And after receiving clearance from basically the tower, pry-fly up in that area with the windows, they will give us clearance to take off. So we will raise the helicopter with the collective, which is on the left side of both of the seats. Raise it an inch or two, and it will put the wheels of this helicopter, which is what we're actually going to be flying, up about 5 to 10 feet off the ground, facing into the wind. As I said, we've received clearance. So after doing an instrument check of the engine gauges, which are in this area here, and in this location here, depending on who's flying, the other pilot will run the radios, make the calls, set up the radios, which, as you can see, there are quite a few navigation and radio instruments located in here.
Radio check 1, 2, 3, 4.
So, considering I am going to be flying, he will be watching the gauges and watching for other aircraft. So, after raising the collective a couple of inches, we'll be sitting about 8 to 10 feet off the ground. And then we will add a couple of inches more collective, which will start us
Safety 3, this is CJ. You have a visitor up
in an upward direction.
I'm on my way.
And you will take the cyclic, which is this control, which controls the flight path, the plane, the rotor system, of which this helicopter has 4 blades. But you will push this control slightly forward, which we will move forward similar to a car, but also increasing in altitude. At the same time, we will continue to raise the collective until we get the desired rate of climb, and continue to push the cyclic forward to maintain the climb attitude until we reach our designated altitude of flight pattern, if we're going to return to the ship to practice basically touch and go type landings. Or if we're going to depart the pattern, we will climb to the assigned altitude that we were given during our briefing and proceed on the mission. And as we come up to the altitude that we were, say we're coming up to 5,000 feet, as we approach 5,000 feet, we will leave the collective at the position that we had it in, the power setting, and we will continue to push the cyclic forward, increasing in airspeed. When we reach the desired airspeed, we will reduce collective, which is power, and maintain that altitude and airspeed and proceed on the mission. To return to the carrier, you will basically come up along her port side or left side, or from the forwards. If you were coming from this direction, you would fly along the side of the ship and then make a U-turn at the stern, and then again fly abeam the ship and follow your handler, which will be standing somewhere up there right in front of the number 3, and you will slide across pretty much parallel this white line and slide over from an altitude of probably about the height of the American flag up there, which is about the altitude you will approach the side of the carrier at. And then you will slide across and be at about a 10-foot hover when you come across and position yourself in front of that number 3 landing spot. And you will follow the ground handler's commands, and he will put your nose in the area of that number 3, and then different crew will come out and chain and chalk the aircraft. Okay, thank you, and hope if you haven't been to the ship that you plan a visit, because it is well worth your time. Thank you.